Communication is a social skill that connects us more with anyone in society. But while you can pretty much say whatever you want to anyone, there are still some things that are better off unsaid. They could be in the form of questions, suggestions, or basically anything that makes you look arrogant or cringe. So if you don't want to sound offensive in how you communicate, I suggest you steer clear of these comments. Number 1. How much money do you make? I know this might seem a bit old-fashioned, but by today's standards, this one can make the receiving party feel a bit uncomfortable. Besides that, asking this question might make you look cringe to the other person, especially if they don't know you too well. Others may even look at you as a founder-hounder. So, my advice is to actually steer clear of any comments that might question how much money another person makes unless you know them pretty well. Also, consider hitting that subscribe button to support the channel. Number 2. Are you pregnant? Now, this one might seem a bit obvious, but it still surprises people, and it surprises me at how many people ask this question. You sometimes see these kinds of comments on social media, and even in a face-to-face conversation. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad question to ask, but it's still wrong to do so for a few reasons. The first is the fact that you might be intruding on someone's privacy, and believe it or not, some women don't like it when others know that they're pregnant. So asking her if she's pregnant might make her feel offended or even a bit emotional. Then there is the second fact that if she wasn't indeed pregnant, then you basically just called her fat, even though that wasn't your intention. In a nutshell, asking a lady basically anything about this question puts her in an awkward position regardless of if she is pregnant or not. So even if you suspect she is pregnant, my advice would be to let it slip and give her the courtesy of deciding how and when she tells you. Number 3. Why not or when will you be? Trust me, these comments are wrong on so many grounds. For one thing, it intrudes on a person's emotions. There's no reason to demand an answer if the person's not comfortable telling you, especially if it's on a sensitive matter. In such a scenario, you may come off as rude, condescending, and it may feel really bad for the person that you're questioning. I mean, you're not a cop, so why would you want to know everything about everything? So, if you notice a person isn't okay with giving you a piece of information, just let it go and move on. Odds are they'll tell you eventually if you give them time. Number 4. Your new hairstyle is better than the last one. Now, this is just wrong, and if you constantly do this, the people around you are going to lose faith in your judgment. It's simple. While this comment might have been intended for flattery, the person being told this might see it in a totally different way. For one thing, they thought their previous hairstyle at the time was the best for them, and now you're telling them that it could have been done better? How do you think they'd feel if they knew that they were flaunting a supposedly low-grade hairstyle for weeks? There is also the case that you probably still told them that their previous hairstyle was the best, so imagine the shock on their face when you repeat the same thing. Instead of making this comment, just tell them that you love it. Even if they themselves make the comment out of insecurity, just don't agree with them. That way, they'll trust your honesty even more. Number 5. Judgemental comments. This is something you simply shouldn't do in modern day society. A lot of people are a bit more sensitive to their bodies and psychology now more than ever, and as such they tend to get a little bit insecure with comments like, "You're too fat" or "You're too thin." Besides the fact that these types of comments are kind of toxic, you might also lose the person's attention if you start making such rude comments. So try not to sound judgmental in your comments. It's not like you're a judge at a talent show, so why act like one? Number 6. Why don't you like this kind of food? I can't think of anything more tedious than having to justify liking or not liking something, or being forced to try something you don't like. The person probably already made it clear 100 times that they don't like a certain food, so why pops the same suggestion 101 times? Besides the fact that you'll look stupid for constantly asking in such a scenario, the other person might also end up leaving the environment altogether. So instead of ruining the occasion by trying to squeeze water from a stone, why not respect their choices and get on with the meal? Number 7. Why aren't you drinking? Believe it or not, some people don't drink alcohol, and there are several reasons why they don't. They could either be naturally sober, and yes, that's a made-up word, or they could have specific reasons to not drink at that time, like pregnancy, medication, religion, so on. The point is, if a person isn't taking alcohol with you or the rest of the group, it's their decision. You don't have to make fun of them or question their reasoning. Just, don't be a baby. Number 8. I didn't want to say it at the time, but the logic here is simple. If it wasn't a good thing to say before, it's probably not a good thing to say now either. Number 9. I'm not being rude, but Do you think by saying this comment, you're not going to end up sounding rude? You're basically preparing them for the upcoming rudeness. So instead of trying to justify your rude comment, why make one in the first place? There you have it. Obviously, we've all made some of these comments at one point or another, but I believe now we know better. So what do you think about these comments? Do you have some of your own? Let us know in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one.